On this episode of Tiger TV, we talk about in-season training, and I go through 3 chairs.
Hi, Baseball Nation. This is Spiker Helms, where I interview the best in the business, where I try to find out what got them to the top. This is their journey, their stories, and our questions. This is Tiger TV.
Welcome back to another edition of Tiger TV. I am your host, Spiker Helms. I'm here at Fitzmaurice Performance with Brian Fitzmaurice. Brian has been into the athletic realm for a long time. He has college athletes that have gone to the University of Oregon, Mizzou, Ole Miss. He also has NFL players as well as Major League Baseball players too. With that intro, I'd like to introduce Brian Fitzmaurice.
Well, thank you very much. I really appreciate you having me on the show.
Definitely. So, anything that you want to add into that intro that that I did not touch on?
No, not really. You hit on the head a little bit of exciting intro there. But the bottom line is developing athletes is my passion. Mm-hmm. I've been doing this for 20 years, 15 years in business. So, helping young athletes develop is really my passion, and really enjoy doing it.
And let's head into it because right now we're in season for the Tigers. It's about a quarter of the season, and they've already played their high school season. And a lot of guys are asking, how do I control the weight room? How do I get involved during the season? You always hear about Kobe Bryant's blackout philosophy. You always see Bryce Harper during the winter hitting with his dad, but you never hear about their in-season training program. What does an athlete have to do for that in-season program?
It's a great question, but athletes need to understand that athlete development is a year-round process. Okay, so a lot of guys understand the importance of off-season training, but what they don't understand is it's very important to train during the season, because what happens is, and research has proven this, that if they don't maintain that training during the season, within about 2 to 3 weeks, they could have a loss of strength, power, speed, and that translates to decreasing hitting power, throwing, base running, and what have you. So really, to preserve what they gain in the off season, we recommend an in-season training program, really, a minimum of twice a week. Research has proven that if you do less than twice a week, it's not adequate stimulus to the body to preserve those abilities.
So, but how often should they train during the week? Because for baseball players, you're playing for high school, you have 6 games during the weekend.
Right.
So when should they train?
The bottom line is, that's a common objection I have with a lot of my players and coaches. We play a lot, okay? But the bottom line is, kind of depending on what position you play, I would say the demands of baseball are not as great as other sports, say football or basketball, something like that. So they have time to get in, 2 training sessions a week. As far as, whether you're on the road, whether you're in town, whatever it is, all you really need is 2 1-hour training sessions. As far as to preserve that strength, that power, that speed, it's imperative. So as far as scheduling goes, it's really up to the athlete. But the bottom line is, the elite athletes we train make the time. There's a lot of guys that are average players that make excuses, but the elites always find time to train.
During the in-season, do you bulk, or is it more along the lines of I'm just trying to maintain my strength?
The bottom line is the primary goal is to maintain. But the secondary goal, even for a younger athlete, I would say, 14, 15 years old, they can still make progress even with 2 training sessions a week. Mm-hmm. But the bottom line is, for the older athletes, that 2 training sessions a week really is to preserve the off-season gains.
You hit a great point here, which was the 14-year-olds. So you said 14. When should they start training?
The bottom line is, with our younger athletes, we have 11 and 12-year-olds that come in here. We're really focused on basic motor development, as far as speed, lateral quickness, reaction, full body strength, functional strength. Really concentrating on basic movements. That way they understand how to do these movements, just like baseball. Yeah, you teach them at a very young level how to throw, how to field, how to hit. That way they're building upon that as a process. The biggest mistake a lot of guys make is coming to us when they're 16 years old and say, I want to play college baseball. Yeah. It's like, well, you're 150 pounds, you're 6'4". Yeah. We need about 3 years of work. So, the sooner that athletes can get involved with performance training and strength and conditioning programs, it's going to help them develop a lot faster. Yeah.
Hold on, we have a problem with these chairs, so I'm going to get a new chair. I was like shrinking down and everything. It's all good. All right, so With that said, with the 14-year-olds and 15-year-olds, 16-year-olds, what about the strength and the flexibility when it comes down to that during in-season? What's going on with the strength and flexibility? What's more important? Should I get that strength, or should I worry about I need to be a little bit more loose because I'm doing a lot of high impact, high velocity movements?
Right. You know, it's a big myth and misconception in the baseball field that you know, if you do strength training, it's going to make you tighter. Okay.
Yeah.
The bottom line is this: stability is strength, mobility is flexibility.
Yeah.
Okay, they're both equally important. Okay, but it depends on the individual athlete. So if an athlete has good adequate muscle tissue, and they're excessively tight, they lack good mobility, then you have to really concentrate on adding additional mobility and flexibility to the program. But if an athlete is just as bad, they'd be hypermobile. Okay, so athletes coming to us and they have hypermobility in their shoulders or their back and their hips. So they have to work on really stabilizing, the core, the hips, the ankles, not only to prevent injury but also to improve performance. So my short answer is they're both equally as important, and it depends on the individual athlete.
Gotcha. I have to get another chair. Third chair is a charm. Okay.
Yeah. Makes for some fun part of the show.
Yeah,
Here.
I know, right? So, what about functional training? You hear that all the time. Functional training. What's going on with functional training? What's the deal with it? You hear a lot about it. It's been like that for 5-6 years. I've heard a lot about it. What's about functional training?
Well, the bottom line is this: a lot of guys, when they think about functional training, they visualize Bryce Harper standing on a physio ball doing squats.
Yeah.
That's entertaining, but that's not functional training. Okay. The bottom line is functional training is training to perform better. Okay. The bottom line is we look at the needs and demand of baseball and say, hey, I want to react faster. I want to move quicker laterally. I want to turn and run, sprint faster. Or I'm an outfielder. I got to get to the ball faster. So the bottom line is you adjust the training to improve function, to improve performance, to improve your game and your performance on the field. So the bottom line is functional training is integrating training to improve function and performance.
Okay. And so is that more important than doing a bunch of squats, or is it?
The bottom line is we look at joint by joint. Okay. So especially with our baseball players have special needs because they're overhead athletes. Biggest mistake, a lot of guys come to us and like, well, I'm training. Okay, that's great.
Yeah.
What kind of training, right? So, as an overhead athlete, you have special needs. So a baseball player can't be training like a football player, right? And doing heavy squats and hang cleans and push jerks and everything else, which can compromise the shoulder joint. It can actually cause problems and cause imbalance in the upper extremities, which when they throw can cause additional shoulder problems and overuse problems. So, the way they're training and the way they're developing their body is very, very important. So what we look at is muscle balance, especially for the upper body, like we talked about before.
Yeah.
Balancing out the, push to your shoulder, working on, pec flexibility, working on lat flexibility. So that way we're getting that functional strength, but we're also improving that mobility. So the way an athlete's training is very, very important.
Now, you have powerlifting, you have bodybuilding, and
Right.
you have sports specific.
Right.
And I see it all the time when you go into a high school weight room. You just see guys just like, I'm going to get on the bench and just put out 3
Right.
45-pound plates on each side and just see how many I can push out.
Exactly right. I would say improper training is just as bad or worse than not training at all. Back in the 70s, most baseball players didn't train at all, right?
Yeah.
And they did yoga, they did whatever, but not much strength training. The guys today that train improperly, that are doing bodybuilding training programs or powerlifting training programs, can have a significantly adverse effect on their body, which could really hinder their performance. I've had guys come in and say, hey, I'm following the Yankees program or the Yankees minor league program. Yeah. Well, it's a bodybuilding split. So the way a bodybuilder trains to increase their pecs and their biceps is not the way a baseball player wants to train. On the flip side, powerlifting, okay, it's great for improving maximal strength on the bench, your squat, your deads, but the bottom line is that's not the way a baseball player wants to train. Baseball player wants to improve stability and mobility, right?
Yeah.
The core, the hips, the ankles, shoulder girdle, to improve performance. So how much weight you lift or what you look like, all these things are really not necessary. The bottom line is, am I hitting harder? Am I running faster? Am I moving quicker? That's really the bottom line. That's why you train.
And we didn't go over this before the show, with training and after the season's done, you hear these MLB guys taking breaks from like 2 months, 3 months, and just going straight into spring training. What's your recommendation of after the season's done, how long should they wait?
You know, bottom line is this, you know, getting back to athlete development, training is a year-round process,
Yeah.
okay? The intensity and the volume of training is going to change whether you're in season or off season or preseason, but the bottom line is you want to adjust it according to that season you're in. You know, the biggest thing an athlete needs is that psychological downtime.
Yeah.
To get away from the game, to get away from training, let your body heal up. Especially if they have any injuries during the season, it's important that they seek, you know, physical therapy and stuff like that. But the bottom line is, if you're not dealing with an injury, if you feel like you're in a good state and you're not, you know, burned out, then, you know, training, skill development is something you want to continue with year round.
And even though this is the summer months, how many athletes you got coming in here right now?
Man, we have a few hundred athletes. So the bottom line is, you know, it's really a new generation of athletes. Because
Yeah.
the bottom line is, you know, 20 years ago, guys weren't really doing this.
Yeah.
Really. So you go to a showcase and you see a kid, wow, he's you know, 6'3", 6'4", and he's 185, 190 pounds. He's developed.
Yeah.
So the bottom line is, and we talk to a lot of college coaches and scouts, and they look at kids that are developed, and they look at kids that can make a really quick impact in the game. So the bottom line is, for the kids that want to play college baseball, we say, hey man, you got to look the part also.
Yeah.
Okay, so meaning you got to be hitting, throwing, all that good stuff, but you also have to look the part. Because we have coaches coming back to some of our athletes and say, hey, you need to put on 20, 30 pounds.
Yeah.
So they're getting actually judged by the way they look.
Yeah.
Because if you're 150 pounds, the coach goes, well, you're not putting the work in the weight room. They just judge you.
Yeah.
So a lot of the kids that come into us, you know, they got to increase the muscle tissue. They got to get stronger. They got to get faster. That way, when they're out of these tournaments and showcases, coach look at them and go, man, you've been doing the work.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So you're a hard worker. So, you know, all those are all important things.
It's not like Babe Ruth or Roger Maris days
No.
anymore.
No, you can't
Dizzy
just-
Dean. I mean, if you look at pictures of Dizzy Dean, it's like, had that guy
Right.
play in Major League Baseball.
And a lot of these guys were, you know, at the bar at night and just wake up
Yep.
and swing at a bat. They were just honestly blessed athletes.
Yeah.
So, you know, the athletes we develop, a lot of them are just created through training and skill
Yeah.
development, right? You know, some of the athletes are gifted, but when you combine that gift with hard work ethic, you have an exceptional athlete.
Yeah. You heard it there, guys. 365 days, and it is a full commitment, and it is the real deal. It is a 365-day type of job if you want to reach those dreams, get to that Division I school, Division II, or even just the collegiate level altogether. So, Brian, thanks again for coming to the
Pleasure.
show.
Really appreciate
it. I will link everything that is all about Fitzmaurice's performance, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, his website, and you can reach him through there. So, thanks, guys. See ya.